Welcome to the Business Bada Revolution. I'm your host, Pat Honiotes. We're here to talk about doing business from the inside out because being an entrepreneur shouldn't suck. Remember, business badasses are made, not born. Welcome to the show. Hey there, we are back with another episode of Business Bada Revolution, and I have a very special person with me here today. Laura, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you, Pat?
You know, I'm doing fantabulous. Here's the thing is I think you know about this more than most people. This new thing of business from the inside out. You've actually been doing it, although you haven't necessarily called it that. So,
Right.
the way I want to introduce this, Laura and I have been friends for a good number of years. We kind of vibe to the same beat. So this
Yep.
is going to be a lot of fun. You all are familiar with business from the inside out, which means I love traditional business coaches. I love what they do, the strategy, the marketing, the planning, all of that. But there's very few people that I know that go beyond that, or maybe what I want to say, they go inside of that and really look at the person, their habits, their patterns, their personality, and who they be, and then apply it to their business. Many times what happens is the business, they apply the person to the business, and that it just doesn't work as well. So while
hmm
I do it one way, Laura has an approach to business from the inside out that I've never seen before. And I'll tell you, it's hot. It's hot. So, Laura, if you would you please? I want to hear your story. I want my people to hear your story. How in the world did you come up with this, number one? And number two, exactly what is your approach to, I call
Yeah.
it business from the inside out. I think you call it the Endotype Formula.
Yeah, that's correct. Um, so my story is I started my first business at 19 years old. And I've been a small business owner for 25 years of my life. I've occasionally worked for other people, but found that rather repulsive. So, so, so,
Tell us how you really
I,
feel, Laura.
I'm just a bit of an independent kind of gal, um, and um, and learned a lot of lessons. Running, I've started and ran to profitability 5 different businesses. Um, Learned a lot of things, made a lot of mistakes, and that's how I learned a lot of things. I was introduced to coaching back probably 15 or more years. Oh no, it's probably been longer than that. It's probably been more like 20 years ago now. And had always been a personal growth junkie, right? My dad gave me my first set of Earl Nightingale tapes when I was like 22 years old or something like that. Personal growth junkie, had, personal development was always a big part of my world. And I loved personality profiles because they helped me make sense of the things that I had observed in people for many, many years, and wondered, like, why are they like that?
Mm-hmm.
I remember making those observations as a very young child, recognizing, at like 12 years old that,
I'm gonna
oh my
interrupt
God,
you for a moment. You know
yeah,
why? Because you've just demonstrated a point that I made in one of our former podcasts, which was from the time we're small children, we get experience in our gifts and what we're going to do later, that it builds up. And so you just said you started when you were what, 5? And while most people
oh
think that
yeah,
doesn't make any difference, here's the thing, that's where you started or before, and then you just built on it. So
yep, oh,
I wanted to make
absolutely,
that point, but go ahead now. No, I'm not sorry for
absolutely.
interrupting. Please go ahead.
No, I still have pictures of me in my Good Humor, which was a type of ice cream, Good Humor ice
Yep.
cream bars.
Yep.
My mom bought
Yep.
me a Good Humor ice cream truck as a little cart when I was 4 years old, and I was the Good Humor ice cream gal. So I guess I really started my first business when I was 4. Um, but yeah, I remember if looking at people and having this recognition that as deep and emotional and powerful as my life was for me, it was that powerful for all of those people I was seeing too.
Yes. Yes.
Um, and that just seemed really big as a kid. It still seems really big as an adult. So having been a personal growth junkie and a personality type junkie for all these years, I'd taken a lot of assessments. And one day, I think that there was an inspired idea that was ready to start coming into the world. Myself, I was a fitness coach at the time and a life coach. And down the hall from me, there was this hairstylist who also was a personality type junkie. And we started arguing over which, right, like mine is better and mine is better. And then we started to kind of wrestle around about what we liked and didn't like about the personality profiles that we preferred. And what started to come out was a lot of the challenges or the mistakes that personality profiling made of not seeing the whole person, right? A lot of
Right.
them only
Right.
evaluate how you think or kind of what your tendencies are or whatever it is. They didn't give a whole picture. And the tests were so redundant and complicated. And from that, there was a lot of inspiration and a lot of doing a lot of research. But the next right, for me, the next right researcher would show up and the next right person would show up. But I was unwilling to give up as this endotype formula personality assessment was coming up because when I had this 4-question assessment that was based on Jungian cognitive functions. Like it was based on how you think. And I was, as I mentioned, a fitness coach at the time. I had all my fitness clients take it, and we were asking them questions about how they thought. And 2 bits of data emerged from that. One, 80% of my income came from 3 of 16 what are now endotypes.
Oh,
And I was
wow.
like, why do these people pay me over and over and over again? And the rest of these kind of come and go and they have a good experience, but they don't stick around. The second piece was we were asking questions about how they thought. But what was emerging was body styles and similar challenges, right? So it was like, here's all these protectors who are, maybe 50 plus pounds, adipose tissue, right? Overweight. They all struggled with some very similar issues. They all had a very similar people energy for me. And I was like, why is that true if all we're asking them is how they think?
Right.
And
Right.
so the next right person showed up until the endotype formula was fully developed, which really takes into account that we are thinking beings, we are energetic beings with certain energetic and emotional cravings. We have these parts of us in this spirituality and the emotional sense, like our young child and our parent that we wrestle with, but we're also physical selves. And the
Yeah.
endotype formula shows how all those parts come together for a person.
This excites me because it's all inside.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
use it outside, but it's all inside. And what I've noticed is very few people, coaches, helpers, talk about the inside when it comes to business.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
talk about funnels and that's all important. God love them. I don't want to do that. It's all important. But I think you're the only other person I know of right now that actually works directly on the inside and then does something with it. I love all the assessments, and you take the assessment and that's usually the end of it.
Right.
Okay? Not with the endotype formula.
No. because it pulls back the curtain and can predict so much about the individual. It can show
Yes.
me where they're going to get kind of stuck in some of their doubts and some of their worries that they have. Some of the, right, I think maybe you might use the word woundings, or other people
Yes.
use the word woundings that they have. Those are predictable in some of the
Yes.
endotype formula. It predicts their coaching superpowers. What
Yes.
they do that's so easy, it's like breathing. That they and most business people don't take into account, right?
Exactly.
Because we
Exactly.
don't feel like we can charge for the things, because we don't even recognize most of the time that we're doing it, and that's what our
Yep.
clients love about us. But we
Yes.
don't know how to
Yes.
charge for it and market it. And then it also helps predict our brand energy, because all branding is supposed to do uh, is capture your people energy,
Yes.
who
Yes.
you are,
Yes.
what you're about, how people experience you, especially if you're a solopreneur, right? Not a big company. Coca-Cola has made up a brand, but you can't make up a brand when you're a person, because you
Yeah.
are that brand.
See, what I love about this is, and we've not formally tested this or researched it, but what I do and what you do, we've never had a disagreement on the inside stuff. You're
Yeah.
coming at it from one direction, I'm coming at it from another. And whenever I see two or more theories agree, I think there's something there.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And
There's some magic.
here's the other thing you mentioned about you work mostly with coaches. Is that accurate?
Yes. Yeah, that is my
Okay.
specialty. I have a few other people who are now using the Endotype system to work with other small business owners in their marketing. But for me specifically, I work with coaches.
Okay. And so you probably already know this, but I've had a couple, at least two people on my team take your assessment, and they're not coaches. And I've had other
Mhm.
clients, and it nails them every single time. So what all I want to do is to make sure that folks know that it works. No matter, it's not just for coaches, even though that's your particular specialty.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the
All right.
endotype formula, the work that I'm doing right now, right? There's a method behind the madness. Coming from the coaching industry, it's utilizing my love of coaching to be able to create a little team of coaches who are. Uh, I hopefully by the end of this year will have some certifications and some trainings out where I can
All
empower
right.
coaches with the endotype formula, and then we'll release the public book and content so that we can match up all those interested, people with coaches who are uniquely designed to help them. So there's a little
I think
method
that's
behind the
awesome.
madness that's coming.
Yeah, well, there usually is for you. I've noticed that through the years. I have noticed
Yeah.
that. So, let's get to the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
So you give this assessment, and you come up with this information. So I'm going to sound like one of my clients. If I, so what?
So
Now what?
everything.
Okay.
Yeah. So everything. So from that point forward, right? Um, once people take the assessment, they get a profile that's,
Right.
I don't know, of maybe 12 paragraphs long, right? It's not super in depth, but it really goes deep and describes them. In fact, what I love is when people take the assessment and then they call me up and they curse at me for knowing too much about them, and then giggle a little bit afterwards. That's always really fun for me. But um, it it knows them at this very deep level. So as I start working with them, we can get very quickly to their branding, because most people, when it comes to business, they've been taught, right, that what they need is good marketing, good
Yes.
branding,
Yes.
good
Yes.
messaging. And
Yes.
if they just get that, then all the clients are going to come to them. And so we start there. knowing that as we start creating some of those things, the good marketing and the good branding, the rest of the stuff is going to start percolating.
See, that's what I love, because your system, as one that I use, is you can predict their clients based on their personality type and the endos.
Yeah.
Okay, you can
Yep.
say, "Here's your client. Here's your ideal client," and
Yeah.
so they're not marketing to the whole world. It's like,
Nope.
"There's your lane, and these are your people." That's
Right.
entirely.
Exactly.
Very few
Exactly.
systems can narrow it down like that. Yeah.
Yep. And then we need to talk about how they want to meet them and what their strategy is. With the Endotype formula, there's a lot of people out there who have been told like this. You and I both have podcasts, and there's a lot of people that are told, oh, you need to do like Laura did. You need to do like Pat did, start a podcast. Podcasting is not for everyone. And not everyone should start one. And especially if you don't know how you're going to use it. I know you've been talking about podcasting for a long time.
Oh yeah, years.
I had been talking about podcasting for a long time, but until it made sense and there was a strategy for it, I don't think we should do things just because other people tell us to. And so we start creating together a strategy based on their natural design and what they're naturally going to be good at, based on where their clients are naturally going to be hanging out, and based on the life that they actually want to live.
Yeah.
And so that's where a lot of this stuff starts, like, making them a little itchy bitchy and twitchy, because they're like, what do you mean what do you mean it could be easy? What do you mean that I don't have to do that hard thing that I've been taught? I don't have to build 9 courses.
Well, and here's the other thing. And I work with a lot of what I call my odd ducks. I love my odd ducks.
Mm-hmm.
And they do their business differently. They talk differently. Your program also accounts for that. You're really giving them permission to be an odd duck.
Yes.
Okay.
And capturing that. And then it's kind of like, if you're an odd duck, authenticity builds trust. Like, let's rewind it all the way back to the fact that authenticity and being exactly who we are is our greatest trust builder. Marketing is supposed to build trust.
Oh boy, yes, it is. Supposed to.
Supposed to build trust. If our marketing, so our design, right? Like the colors we're using, the symbolisms, the design elements, right? Do we do borders or do we not do borders? If that's all based on capturing who we are authentically, it will build trust faster. If a branding person, or if even a small business owner, right? Like I did this as a small business owner, where it was like, well, what makes sense? Oh, color theory. When I had my gym, my first gym was painted orange. Not because orange is particularly Laura, but because orange was supposed to be a color that gave people energy. And that's what you want for a gym. So orange it was. That just doesn't matter. Capturing us and placing us as the center of our business, as the center of the marketing, as the center of the strategy,
That's
will
what I call
create more trust with our clients.
Yeah. That's what I call being the nucleus of your life.
Yeah.
The center, awesome. So I'm going to get personal here for a minute. And if you don't want to answer the question, tell me, go shinny up a gum tree. Okay. But I would be interested in, what did you learn about yourself that you didn't know before through developing this system? Because I'm sure you had some surprises along the way, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So one of the big so I'll talk about a challenge and I'll talk about a gift that I'm still learning about right now.
Okay. Okay, great.
One of the challenges that I learned about myself that I have to keep in my awareness because otherwise it will damage my business is my desire for significance. So, significance is one of those energetic
Yes.
and emotional cravings that we talk about in the endotype formula. And it's frequently because of our humanness, we misunderstand it. I misunderstand it because I have a craving for it. Anything that we have a craving for, we start out in life really expecting other people to give to us.
Exactly. And
You
that's,
give me
yeah,
my significance.
yeah.
So then we might get to a place where it's like, well, I'll give me my significance, which then kind of also feels a little bit like hustle
And so what I'm
culture.
going to tell
And
you then, Laura,
yeah,
is right on that same track in doing the life PhD, we can go back and they can find out exactly why it's there and exactly what they need to do about it.
hmm
Which then when you come and verify that, man, that's gold. That's
yep,
gold.
yep.
And that's true
Because,
with any problem, anything that they
yeah,
have. Anyway, I got you off track from your story, but
yeah. No, it's a thing for me where in my imperfect or my limited way of thinking, right? And that I have worked on changing, but it still kind of comes up sometimes. Significance has looked like more, better, more,
mm-hmm. Right,
right?
right.
So if more people know about me, if my program affects more people, if it gets wider, if I'm more well known, and look at me, look at me, look at me, aren't I significant now? That is not the point. And so it's not like go be insignificant or go or not to do those things. But when I try and do those things, so have a podcast, it's not about me being significant, my podcast. It's about the interviews that I have with the coaches, it's
Yes,
about helping my
yes.
audience. It's about simply doing my work. My significance comes from staying in my lane and doing the work that I'm here to do and having fun with it. And it is a divine significance, not a
With
hustle
nothing to,
earn.
yeah, with
Yeah.
nothing to prove,
Yeah.
with nothing to prove. That comes up a lot. And when you can get to that place, which is where what you're talking about, it changes everything. The
Yep.
stress goes away. Like you said, the hustle goes away, that kind of thing. So, and I
Yep.
know you said earlier you started wondering about all this inside stuff when you were a very little girl. Do you
Mhm.
remember any specific incident where you go, oh, that's where it started? Do you remember anything that
For the
really,
significance messaging,
yeah, yeah,
I think that I was taught at a very early age. I was acknowledged at a very early age for doing the right thing and doing the
okay,
right thing well.
yes, yes, okay, yep.
So straight A's. I've never gotten anything but an A on a report card ever.
Oh my Lord.
Never.
What
Because
would
that
happen?
was not
What would have happened if you got a B or a C?
I don't think anything would have happened outside of me, but
Exactly.
inside
Thank
of
you.
me.
Yes.
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 I
Okay.
think it would have it probably would have created a bit of an identity crisis.
Yep. You got, yep.
And so with that came, right, straight A student, And then came all the rest of do it really well, which can be really challenging when it comes to business because I don't know. I haven't gotten the report card yet for my business um, to find out if I'm doing it straight A style. Uh,
I'm not even sure
but
what subjects would be on that report card because, again, it's not the outside stuff, it's the
no.
inside stuff. And
Well, but in business, you're going to fail. You're not just going to
oh,
get a
sure,
B or a C. You're going to get an F on things
flat out F,
sometimes.
yes. Yep.
And that was a really challenging space for me to be in some of my first businesses. Or to, like I've had to close, well, obviously I've had 5. I've had to close at least 4 of them
Yeah, there you
for
go.
different reasons. And those felt like at closing a business, although successful, although helpful, although felt like a failure,
I get it.
which
I get
really
it.
then would, put a little bee in my bonnet a little bit.
Be in your bonnet. That's a visual I love. So tell me, what how do I ask this question? The way you do business with your formula is from the inside out.
Mhm.
Take a pretend or a pretend person. And again, I'm not dissing traditional business coaches. God love them. I think we need them. All right.
Mhm.
When you see, if you were to put it side by side, would you see a different impact from each, whether it's a traditional coaching or inside out coaching? You've done both,
Mhm.
okay, or you're aware of both. Impact wise, and I'm talking more than bottom line here, you know that. Impact
Mhm.
wise, what would be the differences or the what would be the differences when
Yeah.
in terms of impact to the person?
So it I'll start by saying this. I have started calling myself a business coach and marketing strategist
Okay?
together because that's the reality of my circumstance right now, where um for for a lot of people, they think a business coach needs to be separate from their marketing strategist,
Mhm. Mhm.
and they do these two different things, and they never really get to that inside space,
Yes,
either of
yes.
them. So what I do, and I had somebody recently, this is the kind of the good stuff that I'm wrestling with right now. I had one of my coaches recently say, I have been looking for a marketer who does spirituality for such a long time.
Oh, wow.
And I, okay. Like that was a different kind of, those were different words than what I
Mhm.
was used to. But when I take a step back, and because I was like, spirituality, say more about that. And she's like, well, you talk about alignment and you
Yes.
talk about intuition and you're very intuitively led and you let us bring our intuition into it. And I was like, well, of course. And she's like, yeah, that's spirituality to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I can own that. So when we're approaching it that way, from either a traditional marketing or a traditional business coach point of view, they probably are coming in with an already developed philosophy.
Mhm. Mhm.
First, we do this, next, we do this, next, we do this. Or they're going to sell you a course. First, you do this, next, you do this. But they have kind of a system that has worked for some and may even work for you to get you clients. But I think back to some of the first clients that I worked with when I was first doing branding, and I wasn't really stepping into the coaching part yet. One of the ladies had a business coach, and I did her branding for her. The branding helped her blow the business coach's methodology out of the water. right? Like by the time that they got to those sales conversations, she had like this 70% closing in from a presentation into an appointment, into a coaching or into a course. And he's like, you're at a 70% closing ratio. Like most of my people, I try and get them to 20, 25%. You're already at
Wow.
70. What did you do different? And she's like, remember that branding that you said I shouldn't do because it was a waste of my time? That might have something to do with it.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, absolutely. So just doing the branding alone when I first started 4 or 5 years ago was having a major impact on people's businesses because we're energetically with the design and with the elements calling in those right clients. They're attracted to the energy of the
Right.
person
Right.
because we're putting
Right.
the energy of the person in it. But what I saw happen over and over again is there would be this business guy, a lot of times a guy involved, and I'm not saying anything bad about guys, but they were approaching it with this methodology and with this kind of what I call bro marketing thinking. First you, then you, and it was a lot of hustle culture.
Mm-hmm.
So that same coach who had these tremendous results, I think only did coaching for about 6 months to 12 months, because she burned out so fast
Oh, wow.
because of how he had structured and told her, "This is the way you will get clients. You must follow my methodology." And it worked. But it was so labor intensive and so time intensive
Yep. Yep.
that she couldn't have a real life also.
Oh, yeah.
So
A lot of
where
wasted energy there.
Yeah, exactly. So where I come in with the strategy piece is what I call it, but it's kind of the business coaching piece now too, is let's build a strategy that actually is built to support you. So instead of trying to put your amazing star-shaped self inside my little square box, like let's build a star-shaped box.
Yeah. There you
Let's
go.
build a strategy that makes sense for who you are and how you want to, I have a coach that I'm working with right now, and she got it into her head that she wants to be this speaker that travels all over and does all these paid speaker into a coaching program.
Yeah.
And I said, cool. And then she went and did one. And I was like, how did you enjoy that? And she was like, it was kind of stressful. And I was like, so how many of those do you want to do a year? And she was like, oh, I don't really want to do that more than once a quarter. Cool. Now you know that. We may have to adjust your strategy a little bit because instead of doing a speaking gig a month, you're going to do one every 3 months.
Yeah.
But have you thought about podcasting? And she's like, oh, well, that sounds better because I can do that from my house. So, it's about creating strategy that makes sense. When those two
Well,
things come together, marketing that feels like you and strategy that's built for you,
that's what I like. Built for you.
yeah,
Yes.
not only is it easy to attract clients and not repel them with our branding and our marketing, but also it leaves lots of generous space for us to enjoy our lives and to work on our own stuff and to be
And to
human.
be who we are at the core.
Yeah.
But first, you have to know who that is. That's
Yep.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Laura, how can folks reach out to you? How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah. 3 places. If you want to take the quiz, if you're just curious about your endotype, go to endotype.com, ENDOTYPE. If you want to hear more, if you're in the coaching industry and you want to hear and know more about that, if you go to any of your podcast places that you listen to your podcast, you will find the Raving Coaches podcast,
Yep.
where I interview coaches every week. And if you go to ravingcoaches.com, that's where you're going to see more of the work that I do with the amazing coaches who are out there changing lives.
And so people, so that you know, all this will be in the show notes as well, so you don't have to remember all that, but I wanted to make sure that you got that information in there. So, Laura, what's the one thing you would like my listeners to take away from this? What's the thing that you would just love if they went, aha, I got it?
I am very committed to people being exactly who it is that they are. Not, no more and no less, I always say. More looks like puffing and blustering and pretending, posturing, and less looks like hiding who you are, not stepping in, not being brave and courageous. And in business, it's so easy to either puff and bluster or shrink and hide. But it's a whole lot more fun to do business when you're just authentically who you are.
Yeah, that's easy. There's no work involved with that.
Yeah.
Laura, I appreciate you, even beyond coming on this podcast. I appreciate what you do. I love how honest and frank and straightforward you are. I think that's why we've gotten along so well from the beginning. Thank you so much for being here. Any last words from you, or are you good?
No, thanks for having me. I love
Absolutely.
the conversations that you're having and love the work that you
Absolutely.
do. Thanks for being you, Pat.
Well, right back at you, and thank you. I love being me. It's easy. I don't have to work at it.
Yeah.
So, this is just one of our guests that we're going to be having on these podcasts. We're fairly new, but this is the level of people we're going to be talking to. My whole idea here is to have people that are in the industry, but also believe on the inside work being done as well as the outside work. So you can look forward to even more experts like Laura. And maybe we'll talk her into coming back one time. When you get your certification up and running, we'd like to talk to you about that, Laura. Okay?
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
Happy
that'd
to.
be yeah, and I have to use my phrase at least once every podcast, or I hear about it from my listener. So, Lord love a duck, Laura. This has been awesome. It's been awesome, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, everybody. See you later. Thank you for listening to another episode of Business Bada Revolution. Remember, as you're walking through your work week, being an entrepreneur shouldn't suck. Remember to like, share, follow, and subscribe. And oh, by the way, leave us a 5-star review. See you next time.